Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about flexibility. Just how much flexibility do we need? This is referring to the incident that happened in China a little while ago. Well, the video that I saw was a while ago. I don't know exactly when it happened. I think it's said in the article, but I didn't really pay attention to the details. But the video was about this yoga class, and everyone was in pigeon pose, and the teacher went to physically adjust a practitioner. Apparently the adjustment was too severe, and that ended up really injuring that particular individual, so much that the bone was actually broken. So that got me thinking, when we do yoga, when we practice yoga, we always stress about becoming more flexible, but really, how much do we need? Now, before we actually go into this flexibility part, there's also another part that I like to address. Some people, I read the comments, some people were like, is it really possible? Like, can someone really break another person's bones in a yoga practice, in a yoga adjustment? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is possible. Yes, I've heard incidents like this before, maybe not exactly breaking bones, but injuring another practitioner. And I have been physically injured during a adjustment myself. So yes, it is possible, because the thing is, the teacher is physically manipulating that body and put them into a particular shape. That particular shape might be beyond that practitioner's limit. It could be the limit that that the individual didn't think that they could do it, or maybe past that limit that the body actually could not do. So for me at that time, it was really crazy. I was in a standing splits. Like, I was standing on my one leg and the other leg was pulled up, and the teacher thought that I could do better, I could go deeper. So they came around, and one hand was on my shoulder, the other hand was on the back of my ankle, and pushed it right up. And of course, I wasn't ready, and we both heard the back of my thigh snapped, like a snapping sound. And at the time, the picture was a little bit interesting, because I was there standing on one leg, the other leg was right up against my ear. My teacher was facing me. We were really close, and then we heard that snap, and then we just both looked at each other. At that time, I was fine. I could put my leg down. I could still continue with the practice. I could still walk out of the studio. But the next day I couldn't walk. So that was how severe, and that was a long time ago. So yes, it is possible. So if you're a yoga teacher, please be careful. I'd rather under-adjust than over-adjust. Under-adjust, the person's safe, right? Over-adjusting, anything could happen. It could be just aches in the body, all the way to as severe as broken bones, or pulled muscle or ligaments, whatever. So we don't want any injury to happen. So advice to teachers, better to under than over. As for practitioners, how you could actually protect yourself. I know that especially in the Asian culture, or Hong Kong in particular, we are often, we were taught or conditioned at a very young age not to say no to authority. When we were young, when we were going to school, when the teachers told us to do something, we would say yes. We wouldn't challenge the teacher or anything at all. But then in a yoga practice, in a physical yoga practice, you know your body best than anybody else. If you think that you don't want that adjustment, or if you think that the adjustment is too much, do speak out. Okay, because at the end, if anything happens, you are the victim, and you are gonna end up paying for the price, and I don't think that's worth it. So if you're practicing yoga, for me, if I am in a yoga practice, if I'm practicing, if a teacher comes to adjust me, if I feel it's too much, I'll tell them to stop. No, I don't want the adjustment. Again, if you don't it doesn't really matter if you go to that physical depth. It really doesn't matter. Again, if you don't get it today, try again tomorrow. Okay, and what's so important about it? Coming back, how important is to be flexible? Of course, flexibility is important because we want the body to be mobile, don't want it to be stiff, stuff like that. But then, it's not about pure flexibility. See, one end is flexibility, one end is strength. You do want to have a happy marriage of the two. If you just work on flexibility, just keep on working flexibility without working on the strength in the body, in the muscles, you're prone to get injured. It's so easy to get injured if you are just working on flexibility. And if you don't work on strength as well, chances are the muscle becomes too flexible, it also becomes weak. So if anything happens, it might not be able to protect you. So when you are doing like let's say that pigeon pose for example, how can you get strength? Well, there's a way, and I'll be showing you today. So pigeon pose is one of the very popular yoga shapes that we do. What you can do is, it's not about whether the front shin bone is parallel to the front of the mat or not. It definitely does not matter. Okay, so let's say we're here. A lot of times when we do a pigeon, we just go here, we just kind of flop down, and we just kind of hang out. How to work on strength? So in order to gain strength in the shape, what you can do is the front leg. So instead of just kind of chilling out here, what I usually do is I usually would flex my toes. So instead of letting my toes just kind of hang out, I would curl. Imagine my toes are coming to my shin bone. And then instead of just, again, relaxing your hips, I feel the outer edge of my foot kind of pushing into the mat. So as you can see, physically it's not in a very, very deep shape. I'm not putting my shin bone out there. It's more in here. And I feel that the outer edge of my foot, okay, is pushing into the mat, kind of pushing it away. So even if I'm here, I can still push. And then I would feel the outer thigh and the outer butt. Oh, look, sorry, dry shampoo on my pants, so it's white. And my outer hip also activating. So here. And then sometimes I would actually feel my back toes tucking under, and I'm also pushing the floor away like that. Okay. Of course, that's not an everyday thing I would do. Sometimes I do want to hang out. The front leg, it could be here, it could be here, anywhere, as long as you are in a comfortable RAM, like an interesting RAM. You feel like, oh, there's a stretch somewhere, like there's a bit of pressure on the outer thigh, like outer glutes, outer hip, and maybe inside. Nothing too intense that I couldn't even breathe. Even if you need a block, perfectly fine. Sit on a block, prep up for it. Again, feel the outer edge pushing, toes are curled towards the shin bone. I can be here, push, push. Very, very subtle. So it's not like you're clenching your teeth or, frowning, anything at all. So it's just a very, very subtle action, but that would help a lot. Of course, if you're adding this active mobility element into the shape, make sure you're not doing it in a yin or restorative practice, because for those practices, they are a completely different world. I'm just referring to when you're doing like maybe hatha or vinyasa, those more yang style practices, then you can approach those. And also in those classes, you don't hold the shapes for that long, so it's much more reasonable and much more logical. That's it for my sharing for today. Hope it's helpful. Again, give it a try and let me know how it goes in the comment section below. Like my video, share it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.